Hello guys, welcome to our class for today. This is Noble My Science Tutors Online and I remain Otobo Mike. For today's class, we're going to be discussing laws of friction, um, advantages and disadvantages of friction, and then how to reduce friction. So please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to our channel, click on the notification button so that when we upload a new video, YouTube will notify you. Also, please give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. You can place all your comments on the comment section. You can also reach us on the WhatsApp number that is showing on your screen. So right away, we're going to the class for today. So please get your writing materials, and then don't forget that we've started treating friction in our previous video. So this is a continuation of the lectures on friction. So get your writing materials and get settled for the class for today. All right, so we are going to our class immediately. So, all right, so we're looking at the laws of friction. The laws of friction. We've already discussed what friction is. So for the class for today, we are going to be looking at the laws of frictions. See, we've said that friction is that force that opposes your relative motion, or the relative motion between two bodies that are in contact. So what are the laws of frictions? Okay, so these are the laws of frictions. Friction opposes the relative motion between two surfaces in contact, right? And the second one says that limited friction is independent of the surface area in contact. The ratio of the frictional force and the normal reaction is constant between any two surfaces. Now, the limited frictional force is directly proportional to the normal reaction between any two surfaces, and mathematically stated, force is directly proportional to R, which is the normal reaction. Now, the constant of proportionality is called the coefficient of friction, and that is coefficient of friction is equal to the limited frictional force all over normal reaction. Then the fifth law states that the limited frictional force is independent of the relative velocities between the two surfaces. And finally, limiting frictional force depends on the nature of the surfaces in contact. So these are the laws of frictions, and it is good for a good physics student to remember these laws so that in case you are asked any questions on them, you should be able to answer or respond accordingly. Okay, so these are the laws of friction. So in what areas can we apply friction? That is the next subject we want to discuss. Application and advantages of frictional force. Now, in our previous video, we discussed it that walking will not be possible without the frictional force between the soles of our shoe and the ground on which we are walking. So, and I gave an example of walking on a slippery ground. Now, because the surface is slippery, you find that the frictional force between the soles of your shoes is reduced, right? So that is why you find it difficult to walk. So walking without slipping and falling over is made possible because of frictional force between the soles of the shoe and the ground. So that is why when we walk on the slippery surfaces, it is difficult because friction is reduced. So these areas or advantages of friction, this one area and advantage of friction. Another advantage of friction is that friction enables the tire of an automobile to make a firm grip with the roadway. So without frictional force, or when the frictional force is reduced, you find out that when you step on the brake of your automobile, the car will tend to continue to slide forward, right? But it is the frictional force that causes the car to come to a stop when you step on the brake. Okay, so that is why when you are driving on a wet road, you need to be very careful, because when the road is wet, the frictional force between the tire of your automobile and the ground is reduced. And also when the road is slippery, maybe the road is oily, then the frictional force is reduced further. The frictional force is reduced further. So this is an area, or this is another application of friction. Friction between fan beds and pulleys helps in rotation of various parts of a machine. Yes, it is the friction between the fan belt and the pulley that makes the belt to grip the pulley, and that causes and that helps in the rotation of the various parts of a machine. The fourth, friction enables the brakes of a car to stop the car. Okay, we've discussed this before. Friction enables the brakes of a car to stop the car. Friction enables nails to hold pieces of wood together. Yes, it is the frictional force between the nail and the wood that helps to hold the piece of wood together. Alright, so this is another advantage of friction. Another advantage is that friction is used in the grinding stone to sharpen knives and chisels. You know, when you want to grind your or you want to sharpen your knife, you rub the knife against the grinding stone. So it is the frictional force between the knife and the grinding stone that helps to sharpen the knife. Or you want to sharpen a chisel, it is also the frictional force as you are rubbing the chisel against the grinding stone. It is the frictional force between the chisel and the grinding stone that sharpens the chisel. So these are some of the advantages of friction, right? So every day we come across or we encounter all these experiences. So when you, as a physics student, when you see some things, you should be able to apply them to the knowledge that you are acquiring as a physics student. These are daily phenomena that you encounter as you go about your various activities. So these are some of the advantages and applications of friction. That's okay. So we're going to be looking at how we can reduce, or what are the disadvantages of friction first. We're looking at disadvantages of friction first. What are some of the disadvantages of friction? What are some of the disadvantages of it? These are some of the disadvantages of friction. Friction leads to wear and tear of machine parts. Yes. You know, machine parts as they rotate against one another. When lubrication between the parts is reduced, the parts will begin to wear out. Right? The parts will begin to wear out. That is why you find out that with time, the brake pad of a vehicle will start to wear out. The roller bearing in some equipment begin to wear out too. So friction leads to wear and tear of machine parts. Friction reduces the efficiency of machines, yes, right? When the machine is not properly lubricated, the efficiency of the machine is reduced because of frictional force. Friction causes the heating of engine parts. The same thing. The wear and tear will also lead to increase in temperature of an engine parts. That is why engine parts need to be lubricated from time to time to reduce friction between the parts, so that the rate of wear and tear will be reduced. The rate of heating of the engine parts will also be reduced. Friction reduces motion. Yeah, friction reduces motion. So it is because of frictional force that exists between moving parts that can make the moving part to stop. Like a car that is moving, when you step on the brake, frictional force between the tire and the brake and the ground will make the car to come to a stop. So these are some of the disadvantages of friction that you need to take note of. Is that okay? So how can friction be reduced? Since friction has these advantages, how can it be reduced? So these are some of the methods of reducing friction. One, use of lubricant like grease, oil, and graphite. So that is why you see that you need to be greasing your engine part regularly to reduce friction. So wear and tear in machine parts can actually be reduced by lubrication, applying grease, oil, or graphite. Is that okay? Then also use of ball bearing in roller bearing. Yes, ball bearing reduces friction. Ball bearing reduces friction. So you can also use roller bearing to reduce friction. Then streamlining of shapes, e.g. in aeroplanes and ships. If you look at the way aeroplanes are designed, they are designed such a way that the nose is streamlined so that the resistance of air will be reduced, right? So streamlining of shapes helps to reduce friction. Also, polishing of engine parts helps to reduce friction. So these are some of the ways of reducing friction. These are some of the ways of reducing friction. So for this particular class, we have discussed the laws of friction. We've also looked at some of the advantages and applications of friction, and we have looked at disadvantages of friction, and then how to reduce friction. So guys, this is how we're going to end our class for today. For this particular class, this is how we'll end it. Please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe to the channel and then invite your friends, come and enjoy this physics class. As always said, we are taking this class right from the very first class, the very beginning, and we are progressing gradually. So please continue to stay with us as we bring out more lectures to your. If you have not subscribed to this channel, as I've said, please click on the subscribe button, click on the notification button so that when we upload a new video, YouTube will notify you. Also, you can reach us via this WhatsApp number that is showing on your screen. And if you have any challenge in physics, please just let us know. We'll help you to see how we can solve those problems and then discuss furthermore on any other challenge that you might have. Okay, so please give us a thumbs up and place your comment on the comment section. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you in our next class.